Welcome back to the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. My name is Shaun Chornobroff, and I am here with my guy, Cade Conzemnius. This is the first episode of the Plug and Play podcast, or YouTube show, I should say, here at the Right Way Sports Network. This is the resident NFL draft show. We will have plenty of coverage on our other shows here, but remember, if you want all draft all the time, this is the show to go to. If you guys ever have any questions or anything you want us to touch upon, feel free to leave it in the comment section, or if you just want to say that you hate something we said, feel free to do that as well. But with that said, we will dive right in. How we are doing this is we are going to really break down our draft strategy for one division at a time. And today we are starting with AFC North. So, Cade, how are you doing here today, my guy?
I'm pretty good. Just kind of finished up going through the four teams, the needs I have for both them, looking at where they're drafting and potential players that could follow them in the draft and how that could help boost their team going into the 2021 season. So you want to get started?
I'm down to dive right in. So I think there's no better way to get started than with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're picking first. And Cade, you did drop a mock draft recently on your Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's your Instagram again?
At TWSN.Cade.
All right, so guys, go check that out. And to the Cincinnati Bengals, he had Ja'Marr Chase. So I am just going to say, you already had Penei Sewell off your board, which I kind of agree with, to be honest. But what separates Sewell, or what separates Chase from Devante Smith in your mind?
Well, first off, obviously Smith's getting a lot of hype coming off the Heisman Trophy season. But I still think that people can't shy away from Ja'Marr Chase. And think about what he just did 2 years ago with Burrow, or a little over a year ago. I think that he has all the tools to succeed. He's got speed, route running hands, good size. I think he's going to be an outstanding prospect. We could see him kind of in the Rookie of the Year candidate next year around this time as well. And I think if Sewell's off the board, you got to go receiver. It's either Chase or Smith. I also think that I'm a firm believer in pairing up players in the draft with players you already have in your roster. So what are they going to do? They pair up Joe Burrow with this college receiver, his receiver one in their national championship season, Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, what other better way to do it? You pair up Joe Burrow with one of his favorite targets. You're bringing in a playmaker. He's dynamic with the ball. I have seen people say maybe Rashawn Slater at the spot if they want to go O-line. Obviously, I think that's a big reach, but that's what some people have been saying. I think Chase or Smith is the only option here with Sewell off the board. If Sewell's here, you got to take him. You got to protect your franchise quarterback in Burrow. But if Sewell's gone, which I think he will be, I think Ja'Marr Chase would be an outstanding pick.
No, I 100% agree with you, Cade. You're just speaking music to my ears right now. Like, as much as we can go, Devante Smith did this and that, we're forgetting about what this guy did. This guy was the Blitnikoff Award winner, and he was number one receiver on a team that had Justin Jefferson. How they went to the pros, I don't know. But I also know, and I want to know your thoughts on this, Devante Smith's frame really worries me. Like, this isn't a frame that I think could sustain a 16-game season. Like, I remember, like, I have a T.Y. Hilton comp on Devante Smith. I think you should use those two pretty similar. But nonetheless, I never saw T.Y. Hilton as that elite receiver. When I look at Ja'Marr Chase, I see the natural physical gifts of some of the great receivers of our time. And I think that's exactly what he will be for Joe Burrow.
My player comp, which I haven't really heard many people say this, is actually like an Odell Beckham. Just coming out, just how explosive he is.
That was my.
I don't know. I just kind of see that, and he's just that frame with Devante Smith really worries me. I mean, here's the thing: in college, the frame didn't really matter because he could get so much separation. It really didn't. No one could really get his hands on him. But at the next level, every DB is fast. Every DB is physical. Every DB is going to get hands on Devante Smith, and that just really worries me. I mean, this guy. We saw multiple plays this season, a lot in the Missouri game, where he would straight up just get pushed out of bounds on his routes, and he would just get pushed off his track. And that wasn't even top NFL competition that he will be facing at the next level. So with Ja'Marr Chase, I think it's just a sure lock that he's the receiver one, just in my opinion, because the frame really does worry me. It really does. And I think Chase has all the tools to succeed. I mean, he's a dynamic player, like I said earlier. I think this would be a fantastic pick for the Bengals. And I mean, we're looking at maybe a sure top receiver next year coming out of this class.
All right. So, and there's also one more thing I really want to say about that. It's Jamar Chase has the things that can't be taught, right? Like Devante Smith has all the things that you can really improve on, but you can improve Jamar Chase's route running a little bit. We've seen DK Metcalf make strides in that area. You can't teach Jamar Chase's 50-50 ability. As great as Devante Smith is in that, doesn't match Jamar Chase's 50-50 ability or hand speed. And also, I've never seen Devante Smith match up with a guy who starts day one in the NFL goes right there, right? We watched Jamar Chase torch AJ Terrell last year, torch Trayvon Diggs, guys who went right in and played in the NFL. And for me, I think that's
and succeeded too. Terrell had a great season with the Falcons.
Exactly, and succeeded. So I feel like it's an unspoken variable that none of us are considering.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, obviously I think if he's there, they take him. And then, other needs that they need to fill as well. I think offensive tackle. I mean, that's a sure need they need to fill. And, there's a couple guys that I think they could look at later, like early in the second round. One name that really called my names was Dylan Redunds. If he's still there from North Dakota State, I loved his Senior Bowl performance. I think that guy's going to be a stud. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see a lot of Dylan Redunds clips just because I'm a huge fan. D-line, corner, I really think they can kind of shore up that defense. This isn't a roster where they're going to make the playoffs next year, but you get some young guys on defense, shore up that offensive line. I could see this team being successful in a couple of years for sure. But yeah, maybe in the second round, like Dylan Redunds, if he's still there, I could see him maybe even reaching into the back end of the first round. But if he's there at 5, I think that's a great pick, and I think he will be there.
This is going to sound weird, but I'm like weirdly high on Dylan. I don't know if it's Redunds or Raduns or however you pronounce it.
I think it's Redunds. I mean, I've heard it say both ways. I'm going to go with Redunds.
Yeah, but I am weirdly high on that kid. Like, I'll be honest, like I think that kid could end up in a top 20 selection. I mean, I wish there was a combine but like I've got him graded as a top 20 player in this year's class. I mean, he just comes with an attitude. He just comes with something different. Like watching him at the Senior Bowl, like that was a bad man. And if the Bengals can nail him at 38, him and Jonah Williams, two dudes who could start right away.
Yes.
But I want to throw out another name for you. This is another guy. I mean, I might be slightly biased because I'm a Notre Dame guy, but Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I'm a big fan of him as well, and I would really love to see him in this spot too.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that as well. If he falls even further down, I wouldn't love taking him at 5, but maybe in the third round I could see that as well. Both those guys I feel like would be great, and they just need to get some talent on this offensive line. It really struggled. I mean, if you watch a Bengals game this year, Burrow's numbers weren't fantastic, but you got to see what he's working with at O-line. And you really need to just kind of give him some protection, or this guy's going to get hurt again. This is your franchise guy. If he just keeps getting popped, play after play, and he's going to go down one time. And then, also you're not just drafting O-line to protect Burrow, you're also drafting O-line for your run game. Obviously
Mixon, big money.
Mixon right there. That's a top back if he has a good O-line, and we saw that a few years ago. And he had a couple games this year where he looked like an elite back, but it's really hard to do much behind a bottom 5 O-line.
All right, so I feel like we agree on like me and you agree on the first where they should go with the first 2 picks. Cincinnati. I feel like we're both saying wide receiver, offensive tackle. You don't get that round. So if Sewell falls up, do you want to go receiver round 2, or would you rather wait?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would go receiver round 2 as well. I don't know. I think you still want to give Burrow some talent around him. And in my opinion, I think Burrow needs a lot of talent to succeed. We saw it at LSU. He had so much talent and he was outstanding. So why not do the same thing here in Cincinnati? Just keep giving him some playmakers. A possible guy that I really liked was Cornell Powell out of Clemson, Amari Rodgers out of Clemson. Those are 2 guys I'd take maybe second or third. Rodgers probably second.
Cornell Powell?
Not second. I'd take him third, fourth. But Rodgers, I would like in the second round. I loved him at the Senior Bowl personally. Nico Collins, he's a big kind of jump ball guy. I've seen him comp to DK Metcalf. I personally really like him. I think you give Burrow a big weapon like that. Burrow loves those kind of throwing those 50-50 balls 20 yards down the field. That's really, really where he succeeds. Nico Collins would be a great option.
What do you think what about Tyrese Marshall in that offense? I mean, we talked about a former LSU guy there last time. I think he'd be a nice fit over as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about him. I would love him as well. I honestly see him as a top 30 player, maybe even in this draft. I think he's got a lot of talent. I didn't have him drafted in the first round of my mock draft, just with the way things played out. I saw more teams going defense than offense, but I think he'll go top 15 in the second round for sure. He'll be one of those first guys.
Can I be honest with you about something, Cade? So
Yeah.
if they go offensive tackle first, now if you go wide again, I'm always the best player on the board available guy, but you got to think somewhat with strategy, right? Like if Mac Jones is sitting there, you're not going to take Mac Jones 38.
Yeah,
You still got to plug your holes. Wow, look, it's a combination of the two is really how you should draft. And you get second, third round, you go a little bit, but if there's a corner sitting there like an Aaron Robinson from UCF is trending upward, but I'm really high on Greg Newsome from Northwest. I think he could have really a William Jackson type impact. And if William Jackson leads in free agency, which is something we have to talk about for the Cincinnati Bengals, I want him, especially with the talent in this year's draft, like you talked about. Nico Collins might be there round 3. Amari Rogers, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like you could get guys who could really be dynamic, and also they need a new punt returner too. So a guy like, I'm just trying to think here. Like I'm not a Tutu Atwell guy or Chaterius Atwell, but like an Amari Rogers who could punt return, a Demetric Felton would be a really interesting fit over there.
I would love Felton. I wouldn't like him. I wouldn't like him necessarily in the second round if he could fall to the third round.
Round 3 receiver, and then you take
corner. Yeah, exactly. You take corner round 2. Robinson would be a great pick. If you know me, I'm super high on Robinson. If Asante Samuel falls there, Rodarius Williams possibly. Those are a few guys. I don't think Samuel will fall there. If he does, I mean, personally, we're looking at maybe the steal of the draft. I think he's going to be a stud at the next level. And I personally love players that kind of have NFL genes in them. With his father winning a Super Bowl, he was very successful, had a 10-year career there, played the Patriots for a while. So I would like Asante Samuel Jr. Say that again.
He gave the Giants the Super Bowl. He dropped a big pick against Eli. I love him for life for that.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah. So if any of those 3 guys are there, I would love that. But corner is definitely something they got to shore up. I don't think William Jackson will stay just with kind of how he kind of fell off with Cincinnati due to injuries. I think he might want a fresh start somewhere. I personally think maybe he goes to the Broncos, but that's a different story for a different time. So yeah, I don't think Jackson will stay, and I think they will need to go corner in the second or third round.
No, exactly. So we agree. So there's a guy I have a man crush on. I'm wearing an Ole Miss hat, so I think you can see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore. Like you mentioned a lot of these guys, and like I'll be honest, Elijah Moore is my wide receiver for. Like I am weirdly high on that dude. I think he's just dynamic.
Totally agree.
Devante Smith type numbers. I think he's a first round talent, but I mean, I question like with his frame. Let me pull it up right now. It's 5'9", 184. That's not a guy you could rely on outside. And I think him and Tyler Boyd could be pretty interchangeable. Like I think you could do it at time in production. What do you really think about him? I guess in the Bengals offense.
I would love Moore personally. I'm a huge Moore fan. I think he provides just a dynamic weapon on offense. He'd be great from the slot. I don't think he'll fall to them in the second round personally. I just think he'll go higher. I think teams are just going to kind of fall in love with what he can do with the ball in his hands. Although I know you did mention that his size is an issue. It's an issue for sure just because he's 5'9". But I still think that, I mean, if you watch him, he's a physical player. He has some great blocks down the field. He doesn't drop any balls from contact. So, yeah, it's an issue because he's 5'9", but I don't think that's a reason why I would shy away from him. I just don't think he'll be there in the second round. I think a team's going to fall in love with him kind of like in the 20s range. But if he is there in the second round, even if you already got Jamar Chase at 5, I don't know. I would maybe go Elijah Moore too. I mean, that's just a steal.
Jamar Chase, really. Elijah Moore, Tyler Boyd. That's a dangerous. Burrow's got too many options at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you could shore up that O-line in free agency as well. There's a couple good free agent O-linemen on the block. So, yeah, I mean, as long as you as well as you want to, kind of work on the O-line, if Elijah Moore's there at 5, you got to take him.
All right, so now one more.
Or not at 5, but at 37 it'd be. Yeah.
So
38.
I guess like as you really look at this, as you look at the Bengals, I guess what is like we talked about, you need to hit on the wide receiver, you need to hit on the O-line, you need to hit on the cornerback. What is that 4th, 5th need that you're really thinking maybe round 3 if there's a good guy sitting there, round 2, or if there's someone where you're like, okay, you might have to take him because that's still a need?
Yeah, I think D-line. I think you got to go D-line here. Atkins coming off not so great of a season. I think D-line would be huge here. You also got to keep in mind who's in your division. You have the Ravens, you have the Bengals, you have the Steelers. Ravens and the Browns are both two teams. Sorry, Ravens, Browns, Steelers. Ravens and the Browns are both two teams that can run the ball. So you're gonna want someone that can kind of shore up that run stop game there in Cincinnati. I think maybe a guy like Marlon Tupolito, if he could be in the fourth round. He didn't have a great Senior Bowl performance, so his stock kind of went down there. So he could be there in the fourth, third round. I think D-line would probably be a great way to go. You could also shore up the pass game. There's a couple guys that I was really interested in. Carlos Basham, I see him falling. I'm not super high on him. I don't think that he's great. What was that?
What don't you like? I'm actually like weirdly high on Carlos Basham. So like I was wondering like what you don't like about him.
I don't know what I just watched his game. I just didn't love his physicality. It just something about him. I didn't see so much very much production when I watched him. He can win. He was good in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl when I watched those. I mean, he can be a great pass rusher, but he wasn't great in the run game from what I watched. I just don't see him going. I mean, he probably won't be available in the fourth round, but if he's there in the third round, I could see him also. But somewhere along the front seven, I think they would have to go. Personally, I just think that defense is not very good. And if you do go corner in the second round, you definitely got to start looking at D-line edge there in third, fourth.
So I want to ask two prospects right now, and I'm curious who you have over the other because I think I could really see one of these two guys or the Bengals having to choose between these two. Actually, three guys. I'm going to give you three guys. Quincy Rochet, Carlos Basham, Ronnie Perkins.
Oh, Rochet.
Not even.
You want me to rank them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go Rochet, Perkins, Basham. I think Perkins would be very good. I think Perkins can be a stud. I think he's kind of a draft sleeper in my opinion. I think him in like the third round, that could be a steal. I think he's really going to be a beast. He's versatile at the edge position. He's a beast for sure. Rochet, I'm honestly pretty high on Rochet. I know a lot of people aren't, but I think he's going to be a beast. He had 15 sacks this year or something like that. I mean, you can't not look at that. He has great speed. He's athletic. I think he's going to be a great player at the next level as well. Some people have doubts with his game, but he's an athletic player. If you can kind of work on his fundamentals, I think he can be pretty good. And then Basham, like I said earlier, I'm just not as high as him as others, but I still think he has the opportunity to be a good player as well.
All right, so that's our little Bengals preview, and like I think if you guys really notice, like I think we hit on pretty much all the big needs, right? We're like, okay, you might have Carl Lawson, you might have William Jackson. We're giving the direct replacements right there, and we're really hitting on those. I think the big storyline really surrounding these teams, and it's weird because we're going in order of where these teams will be drafting, and you got 5, and now for this episode, we're gonna have 3 straight playoff teams.
Yeah,
something very unique. So
I mean, that's very unusual. The fact that you go from 5 to 24, 26, 27, that doesn't happen very often, but that just shows how good this and competitive this division is. I mean, if you slip up here in the draft, it's going to pay dividends in the season because this division is so competitive. You make one wrong pick, one wrong move in free agency. I mean, you're going up against such good opponents. It's like you're going to you're going to see it pay off. So, let's go on to the Steelers. They're picking at 24. In my recent mock draft, I have Elijah Vera Tucker falling to them. I think this would be a dream scenario.
It's a good pick.
This would be a dream scenario. He's versatile at the O-line position. He can play guard, tackle. I don't love their O-line. And if they do keep Big Ben, which is rumors that they are restructuring his contract, Big Ben can't move anymore. He's 38 years old. I mean, he can't move much. So if you don't have stellar protection, I mean, your offense is going to be so lackluster just because you need to give him time in the pocket because he can't make plays with his feet really anymore at this point in his career.
Okay, Cade, can we have a real conversation here? Should they even keep Big Ben in your mind?
Oh, no. I really don't. I'm a huge believer that they shouldn't. I'm just saying what I think they will do because that's the rumors I've been hearing.
Oh, no.
I don't think they should.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I look at this team and I'm just like, how? Like, and how? And there's an article by a guy named Joe Camrata on this website on why they should. And I love Joe. We did the Right Way Kickoff show, and like I respect a lot of what he says, even when he talks about conspiracy theories within the NFL. But holy crap, the guy can't move. He can't last.
No, yes, the decision making is not very good anymore. I don't like him, and he's gonna have such a cap hit. If you get rid of him, you cut him, you're gonna gain $20 million. You're already $26 million over the cap. So you cut Big Ben. Okay, now you're $6 million over the cap. You're right there. You can, cut a couple more guys. Then you're back under the cap. You keep him. Obviously they're going to restructure his contract, but how much? You're still going to be over the cap. I think you got to cut him. You'll get all that money back. And this is not a roster that can win now. Yeah, they started 12-0. This is not a roster that's going to win now. I think you kind of got to looking for a new quarterback of the future. If they want to keep Big Ben, that's showing that they think that they can go and win a Super Bowl next year, but they really can't. This roster has some holes. They have a lot of free agents. I think you kind of get rid of Big Ben, and you can maybe look in free agency for a new quarterback. I don't know. Obviously they got Haskins. Maybe you want to give him a shot, but I just really don't think Ben's the move anymore. I just don't.
I'm planning on touching on quarterback later because I've got a guy in mind that I think would really be a nice successor to Big Ben. He's a guy I'm very high on, but I don't hate giving Haskins a shot. And it just comes down to this fact that also it's not like Ben's a Tom Brady type, right? Where you could sit there and go, oh, he does this all these off-season workouts, things like that. The guy's diet is worse than mine in the off-season.
Yeah.
I don't have a diet. Yeah, you guys were wondering. Like, I eat like horse crap. And Roethlisberger eats worse than me. So I don't.
Yeah, there also was rumors that during quarantine he had like a drinking addiction, or when he was hurt last season with a shoulder injury. This guy off the field he's not on his job all the time, really. I think he's kind of been lacking. Just from what I've heard kind of on social media. Now, how true is that? Who knows? But he's definitely not like the Tom Brady who can just have this just longevity, and play till he's 45. That's just not Big Ben. I really don't think that they should bring him back in 2021.
I agree. And usually if you do bring him back, usually I go, okay, right? Like when I'm looking at a contender, I just go best player available. But now like I'm in this weird thing where if Elijah Vera Tucker's on the board, he's probably the best player available. Yeah. So that's a dream scenario. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, if I'm looking at Tevin Jenkins as the best tackle, there's a weird offensive tackle run who I have like a rated OT7. Liam Eichenberg, I think I think Dylan Raduns would be a dream scenario. Like I'm not sold on Jalen Mayfield as a plug and play guy. But so like I think you gotta go with the best offensive lineman available here, just so your quarterback can survive 16 games.
Exactly. I don't know. I really think they gotta go someone else, and I don't really know how they're gonna do it because you're drafting here at 24, but you're probably be drafting next year at like 15. If things kind of play out how I think they will. And so then it's like you're kind of almost waiting to draft a quarterback next year, but even next year, you're not in a great position. They're just kind of like in a weird, kind of like in the bubble spot where they can't draft a quarterback. They have a pretty good roster where they'll still win some games, but you can't really go too far with no solid player at quarterback. So, I think Elijah Vera Tucker, it's like you got to shore up that O-line no matter what. I'm using shore up so many times. I don't know why, but you got to, kind of fix up that O-line somehow. Elijah Vera Tucker, he has versatility. He's a great prospect. Some people have him as a top 15 player in this draft. I'm personally not that high on him, but I think a top 20 player, definitely. He's going to be a beast. So, you get him there at 24. If he falls, that could be the steal of the first round, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think, like, honestly, I would not, like, they can't trade up for a QB. Right? Yeah, we don't think they can. But I wouldn't be against them trading up for a Shaun Slater or a Christian Darrisaw if he's there, or even an Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah. Because, I could maybe see him trading with maybe like the Chargers at 13 there. You go up there, probably get Slater or Darrisaw. I wouldn't be opposed to that. And they do have history of trading up in the past. Just, 2 years ago, they traded for Devin Bush. So, I could see that as a possibility.
I've got I think a Cardinals trade up makes a lot of sense, right? Because like I think we've been saying, hey, they need to attack the edge, like that's their thing, or like and like a lot of the other positions in this draft. I think there's a lot of depth here, but I think the Cardinals are at this point where they just need to plug and fix a couple holes to really put their roster with, especially not the JJ.
Yeah, and with the Watt signing, that was one way they did do that as well. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think you're there where you're like 1 or 2 pieces away, 3 pieces away, and you might want, an extra second, an extra second to where you could probably plug and play 3 to 4 starters in the first 3 rounds and really put yourself at that point. So, but I think we're in agreement here that like as much as we say the Colts or not the Colts, I'm sorry, the Steelers need off or the Steelers, that in a normal situation would be, hey, best player available. You can't not go offensive line here. It's not.
Yeah, no.
You
wouldn't go corner?
I have that round 2 right now because I think corners got underrated depth here. But if you get a corner,
I was about to say same thing.
I'm not mad. Mad. Like you could sit there at like I'm trying to think of what it'd be like in the 50s, late 50s, and you could probably get an Elijah Molden, an Ifeatu Melifonwu, a Tyson Campbell, or you can get a Shaun Wade, who I think is not a great corner, but I think he's an amazing nickel corner who could be
Yes, exactly. People are hating on Shaun Wade. Shaun Wade's not the player that can match up and press coverage against Devante Smith. That's why he was looked at so poorly in 2020. I think, he's a great nickel corner. I honestly think that his greatest fit in the NFL is as a safety. I personally think he's a great tackler. I see him as a safety personally. They could even bring him in. I mean, they have a good secondary. I don't love it. Honestly, they don't have great corners. Minka's okay. Bring him as a safety, nickel corner, kind of has that versatility there that I like. Yeah, so he'd be a great pick as well. If Rodarius Williams falls there, people are not super high on him as I am, so he can maybe fall as well. Benjamin St. Juice, if you know of him from Minnesota, I think he's going to be very good. I even see him as maybe kind of a safety at the next level. I love versatile players, so that's great. He balled out the Senior Bowl. He was balling there. So I think he could be very good. If he can fall to them in the 50s, that'd be an outstanding pick.
Can I be honest? You mentioned a versatility guy, and this is a guy if he falls, I really want to see Pittsburgh take in the second. Richie Grant.
Oh,
I think him and Minko, they would dominate together.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how I didn't think of that at first. That is, I mean, I have him going like early in the second. I think he can maybe pop into the first. Not pop into the first, but I think he is the talent too. He is so good. He can tackle. He can play in coverage. He has great ball skills, mostly great ball skills. A couple of questionable drops on his tape, but he can break on the ball. He's fluid with his hips. He's just an all-around great player. I mean, my pro comp to him is Justin Simmons. I think he's like a Justin Simmons kind of guy. I'm very high on him. If they get him in the 50s and then Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round, you're looking at, okay, you added a lineman. You got a great player in the secondary. Now maybe looking at like a 9 and 7, 10 and 16 possibly.
Okay, so what are some other, I guess, positions, right? So we've talked about Ricky, right? Like I feel like offensive tackle, secondary, those are our primary needs for this Steelers team. But but where else would you really like to see them hit? I got a couple of positions in mind, but where would you like to see?
I'm not a guy that takes running backs early, but in the 3rd, 4th round, running back for sure. I think Benny Snell's not great. They don't have a great O-line. Obviously, they can fix that up in the draft, but they're going a pretty talented running back. Just so you can kind of have somewhat of a run game. If you bring back Ben as well, I think you'll see your pass game drop. Juju's might leave as a free agent, so you're going to have somewhat of a run game. So bringing in a running back, kind of 3rd, 4th round would be nice. And then I also have quarterback. Why not take a chance on someone like maybe like Felipe Franks in like the 4th round? Just take a chance on a guy, give him a couple opportunities. I mean, what's the worst that I can do? Because you're not at a great position right now with quarterback. I mean, do you want to just take a chance on a guy? I don't know. I personally think so.
Are you a Felipe Franks guy?
I'm not huge on him, but I do like him. I also have Kyle Trask maybe if he falls like a 3rd round.
If he falls,
Kellen Mond, Ian Book.
You're skipping around my favorite QB sleeper. I also want to say Felipe Franks just sucks at football, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's just I'm just kind of saying that as like a guy that he's gonna fall. Why not take a chance on him? Jamie Newman, Wake Forest.
You're still skipping around.
He didn't really play it.
You're still skipping around my sleeper.
Brock Purdy.
I don't think he's declaring, but I do like Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I thought you were going to say Kenny Pickett at first. Okay.
No, I think Davis Mills. So I've been on the Davis Mills hype train for probably since his his fifth, sixth college game. Like that guy was a 5-star recruit for a reason. He has the natural touch. He's got a natural frame, which I know it's something we talk about a lot, but he makes all the quick shots, and then he has that ability to really hit you down the field. Is he perfect?
He's a smart player as well. He's a very smart quarterback. Yeah. That's what I've heard from a lot of interviews.
See, it's weird because like you could see that he understands it, but like I don't know if it was just because of weird circumstances because he took over for KJ Costello halfway through the year, and then like weird COVID circumstances. Just you'll have like it's almost like an Eli Manning type thing, or even a Ben Roethlisberger type thing, where we say, hey, like the guy we know he could break down a playbook, we know he could do this and that, but then you'll just have like the dumbest mistake you'll ever see.
I know, yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. He'll have a great play and then he'll have a terrible play, but you also just got to look at him as like, you know, he's not a top 5 quarterback in this class. He's going to have some mistakes, but do you bring him in and just try to like fix those issues? I mean, I think he definitely is a project player, but I think you could fine tune that. I mean, I have just heard from interviews that when people talk to him, he just seems like a smart guy. He's a great work ethic. So all those kind of intangibles he hits, it might not always kind of pan over to the field, but I really do think he has potential. So yeah, I like that. Jamie Newman also was a guy at Georgia, transfers to Wake Forest, doesn't play. Obviously, you're not playing in 2020 as a quarterback. You're not going to be drafted highly or looked at as a great player. And he didn't have a great Senior Bowl performance. But I also think that it's very hard to have a great Senior Bowl performance when you're going from not playing to playing against the top competition in the country. So I still think maybe him in the 3rd or 4th round could also be a good project QB. You draft him, and then you have him, Haskins, Rudolph. You have 3 guys competing for the job. I mean, if you cut Big Ben, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at 3 guys that someone's got to pull out of the pack and be decent, right? I mean, they have to be.
Yeah, or you end up like the 2012 Arizona Cardinals where you have like John Skelton, Kevin Cobb. Like it's one or the other, but if that happens, you're picking 13 and you're right back in the race for the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're looking next year at, I mean, it's a good quarterback class next year as well. So,
I love
you could kind of, yeah, totally.
So I actually want to say one more thing about QBs, and I think this would be something that we hit on a lot in the show, and it's like not about the QB class specifically. And next year, Sam Howell QB1, but looking at what GMs do in the past is very important. And when I look at the Steelers specifically, quarterbacks, we go, okay, Josh Dobbs 4th round, Mason Rudolph 4th round, plenty of other QBs throughout. Like this is not something they're really unaccustomed to doing. They've taken these shots on these. Landry Jones, I think, was like a mid 4th, 5th round pick. This franchise has taken shots on quarterbacks mid rounds in hopes of developing, similar to what the Patriots have done. It's just they had the same success. The Patriots end up with Garoppolo and Brissett, and the Steelers can't seem to hit the lottery for nothing. But I really think Davis Mills would be a nice fit there. But also, how do you? So, Bud Dupree might be leaving. He might be back. But either way, you need.
I don't think they can bring him back.
You think they bring him back?
I don't think they will. I think he's going to want big money. I think a team's going to give him that. So
then, how would you rather go about replacing and bringing in a guy we talked about, maybe like a Rochet, a Hamilcar Rashid, or would you rather? Or would you rather go into the free agency route, maybe bring in a Hassan Reddick or maybe some other veteran edge rusher?
I think you could maybe even do both. Personally, I think you bring in a cheap guy in free agency and then maybe draft someone like Dalen Hayes, someone like that later. And you're kind of pairing up, kind of like a project player. The veteran can help out. I love bringing in veterans to help out rookies. I just think that's a great kind of bond mentorship there. So they bring in someone in free agency and then, draft a couple of guys, in the 3rd, 4th round that can kind of, maybe you can get a little bit something going there. I just don't think Bud Dupree stays. Someone's going to give him big money. Someone's going to give him, a big contract because he's a good edge rusher in the NFL, and that's just what's going to happen. So, if that does happen, I think you kind of bring in like a veteran in free agency. You don't have too much cap space to work with. But what you do have, I think they should use that on edge.
Yeah, I wouldn't like I'm kind of an Alex Highsmith fan, the kid they drafted from Charlotte last year.
Same. Yeah, he's gonna have a breakout year this year for sure.
So I wouldn't even I would not use anything before a 3rd round pick on an edge rusher unless there's a weird guy who falls. But I am in love with the Ellerson.
Yeah. I think you gotta go O-line corner. I think it's almost set in stone.
O-line corner. Then I'd rather take a QB to develop to take a shot on. I'd rather take the
totally.
And maybe you find the next Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
you never
Hey,
next
and
Russell.
I think maybe in like the 4th, 5th round, a guy like Shea Smith, Shi Smith, something like that from South Carolina.
Shi Smith.
I mean, you got to bring in a couple receivers with Juju going. He's gonna maybe test free agency. That's what I'm hearing. He wants to be a Steeler. I just don't know if they can make that happen for sure. But obviously Claypool, he was good this year, so you got him. But you got Deontay Johnson. They have some guys there, but why not bring in another guy too?
I love the guy who could play on the boundary, or he can be like a little bit of a bigger slot for you and really win those balls.
I have another great guy that I think could go here, although I'm going to save him for when we get to the Ravens. I think I kind of found a great fit here with him and the Ravens, but we'll get to that later.
So you want to move Browns?
Yeah, should we just go on to the Ravens now? I mean, we might as well.
Actually, yeah, why not? Let's mess.
Or should we go Browns? Browns are at 26.
Yeah, let's go Browns.
Yeah.
Keep that guy in your mind.
Let's kind of go in draft order.
So yeah, we're all about organization here at the Right Way Sports Network.
Exactly.
So picking 26, what's your primary need?
Off-ball linebacker. I think off-ball linebackers. Let's get that defense better. You're going up against the Ravens, Steelers, and even the Bengals. They can have a good offense this season. So you're gonna want to definitely kind of improve that defense. I think corner also. They're not really looked at as a team that might want a corner. Although I think bringing in like a corner 2 kind of in like the 2nd, 3rd round wouldn't be a terrible option. I think they're set at O-line. I think a receiver would be nice for sure. Possibly a running back just in the 6th, 7th round, just kind of provide some depth there. Because we did see Chubb go down this season. If Chubb goes down or Hunt goes down, you're going to want a number 2 guy there because they do love that 1-2 punch in Cleveland, and it's worked well for them when they're both healthy. But yeah, I think off-ball linebacker would be where they go in the 1st round.
So I got a guy I want to throw at you right now. I'm assuming Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, or however you pronounce it, he'd be ideal, but I think he's gone by then. So I mean,
he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's my. You got Parsons, Koramoah for me. Those are 1 and 2, and then right behind and even interchangeable with Koramoah for me is Zaven Collins, and I think I've mocked him there before. I love that fit. That kid is gonna.
He's gonna be a stud. I mocked him there too as well. At 26. I honestly think it's shocked. I think that pick is, if he's there, which I think he will be, I think it's set in stone. I mean, almost every single mock I've seen has him going there. I personally have him going there. I think you're getting a great off-ball linebacker late in the 1st round. You're going to see him play super well in the 2021 season. I think that's the right pick. You got to go off-ball linebacker. Now, if maybe he's gone or they don't want to go there, I think looking at corner or D-line also, I want to fix up that defense a little bit. I'm not sold on them, but I think offensively they're good. I'm not completely. They'll add a couple more guys with OBJ, maybe getting traded. They will want maybe a receiver. But also Jabril Cox. If they don't go linebacker in the 1st round, I think Jabril Cox could maybe follow them in the 2nd round. He's not the greatest athlete. He's not the best in the pass coverage, but he just kind of makes plays. He's good in the run game. I like him.
I mean, this would be. See, here's the thing. This fit's intriguing to me, but I also think it's going to come with some growing pains, and I'm not sure if Cleveland wants to deal with those. A Chaz Surratt selection.
Yeah, I like him.
I would be intrigued by his fit there, but also, I mean, if you just want a guy in the 2nd round who he might not be anything special, but has the chance to be, but his floor is a solid NFL linebacker. Dylan Moses. He's really not. He's not his best in the trenches.
Yeah,
he play off ball. He's good in zone coverage. I would.
He's good in zone. He's not good in man. I'll give you that. I watched him and I don't really know what this was. It might have just been the few games I watched, but effort was an issue for me. And honestly, if you're in Cleveland, they're kind of a team that they just have a culture going right now that they're kind of all effort. They're kind of all gas, no brakes kind of guys. When I watched him, he just kind of seemed like he was jogging. Maybe he was hurt or something, but effort was definitely kind of a red flag for me. Yeah.
I'll be honest,
I don't know, but
I was chalking that up to the. Sorry, my cat's bothering me, but I've been chalking that one up to the injury. Maybe his mind's messed up. I don't know. I just know that dude was a 5-star talent and a no doubt top 20 pick not too long ago. If he could return to that.
Exactly. Point. Yeah, he didn't have a great 2020 season, but obviously players in the NFL don't have great seasons. They can come back and play very well. So, 2nd, 3rd round, if they can get him, sure, I won't be mad at it. Now, if they do go Zayvon Collins in the first round, I don't want him to go off ball linebacker twice. But yeah, if they don't go off ball linebacker in the first round, Jabril Cox, Dylan Moses, Chaz Surratt. I like Chaz Surratt, former QB, in fact. He has great moving skills, 4-down linebacker. I'm pretty high on him as well if they can get him in the 3rd, 4th round.
And so if the guy not Zayvon Collins goes there, I actually don't even want them to reach on like another guy. I actually want them to take the highest potential edge rusher in this draft to partner with Myles Garrett, and that's Gregory Rousseau. I mean, the guy might not be a refined pass rusher, but you can again, like it's almost like route running, right? Like you could teach him the pass rush moves. You could really work with him on that. He's physical. He's got enough.
I mean, he's athletically. He's got the athletic tools. Go ahead.
Sorry, he could get you 6.5, 7 sacks a season. I think just off his athletic tools right now.
Yeah.
Partner him with Myles Garrett. I can virtually guarantee he can do that. Even Jason Owe.
He'll get 10 sacks. I mean, so many teams have to put more attention to Myles Garrett. So what do? You get Rosé on the other side. I mean, he'll have one-on-one matchups all day. Yeah, I think you're looking at a 10-sack season if they get him there. Personally, I think he might go a little bit higher. But if he's there, Zayvon Collins or Rosé, I don't know. I mean, both picks are great. I would be fine maybe taking Rosé over Collins, even if Collins is on the board.
To be honest, if I'm Cleveland, like I'm those are my first two needs because like I look, your offense is solid at least, right? The offense, we think you are thinking in your head that Baker Mayfield is good enough to get you places, whether or not he actually is. We can. Yeah.
I don't think he's a top quarterback, but he is he can do it. He can do the job.
Jimmy Garoppolo can do it. Baker Mayfield can do it.
Exactly. He can do it. Now you have to have a stellar defense though, like the 49ers had.
Exactly, and that's what I was about to say. That this is a copycat league, and I look at the not Bengals. I'm sorry, the Buccaneers team. The Bengals never win. So why would I be talking about them? The Buccaneers.
Exactly.
And I look at Barrett, JPP, and then I look at White, Levante David. And I'm just looking at how those corner or edge rusher and linebacking cores were settled, and you were able to afford some development from your corners, or maybe because Carlton Davis isn't a star. I know the schemes are a little bit different, but I think that's the same mentality I'm trying to take here. I'm trying to get that Chaz Surratt, that Dylan Moses, that maybe Barrett Browning, who that dude's just an athletic freak, or a Pete Turner. And then I really want to get a guy who can really partner up with Myles Garrett for me, or they might even do that in free agency. Don't be surprised if they're play for some stud. They were in on J.J. Watt today. Actually, I just saw a report that apparently they offered more than the Cardinals, and J.J. Watt went to the Cardinals. But
interesting. Hopkins must have had some kind of in on that for sure.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt in my mind. But I would love to see that fit right there, whether it's an Azeez Ojulari or I think he'll definitely be gone by then, but a Rousseau in or even a Ronnie Perkins, like you said, if you maybe you want to take that linebacker round 1. For me, those are the top 2 needs you hit. And then for me, I'm hitting wide receiver round 3.
Yeah. I think you go defense, receiver. I really don't think OBJ plays for the Browns in 2021. I think a team's going to make a huge trade for him, and I honestly think they'll acquire some more picks. So we might be looking at defense, receiver, defense. They might have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, because maybe even 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, just because I think a team's going to make a big deal for him. And then if OBJ's gone, obviously you're going to want someone other than Jarvis Landry there. David Njoku is a great weapon on offense, or he's a solid tight end. So
guy.
Yeah, I like him as well too. But obviously those aren't receiver ones. Those aren't like crazy game changers. And with Mayfield, you're gonna want a crazy game changer receiver. He's not the quarterback that can get it done with nobody like a Watson. So yeah, Amari Rodgers maybe if he's there, 3rd round.
I want to ask a follow up here because again we touched on his Mayfield's limitations. So if you're sitting there at 26, let's just say the OBJ trade comes down. I know you're a Minnesota guy. How would you feel about a Rashad Bateman selection there? A guy who could really partner on the outside with Jarvis Landry.
You're saying if they get another first round pick?
I don't know if you get a first for OBJ at this point. I mean, we can argue whether or not he's even a top receiver. When the Giants traded him, he was a top 5 receiver, unquestionably. He was on pace for a Randy Moss type career. But honestly, this might be his Raiders stint. OBJ's version of the Raiders stint. But let's just say you get an extra second. You know you're gonna get a second for OBJ. I mean, Brandon Cooks was worth a first, so you might get a first for him too. But I'm gonna go second, fourth for OBJ. I'd have to really think it through, but second and fourth. So you know you got 2 seconds, you got your third. Would you be willing to take Rashad Bateman at 26?
I think you could go Bateman, and then you have 2 second-round picks. I would go Chaz Surratt, Quincy Rochet, and then in the fourth, maybe I'd sure up at corner. I'd kind of fix up that secondary, just kind of bring in like someone versatile, maybe like a Tyson Campbell if he's there. But I think
Rodarius Williams is Greedy's brother.
Rodarius Williams. But if you go Bateman in the first, because you have 2 seconds and you're getting an extra fourth. I think Surratt you could get in the second round. Rochet, like I said. So there's definitely some talent you can get there. Carlos Basham as well. So I would not be opposed to taking Bateman, knowing you have 2 second-round picks, and there is some talent that they can get there in the second round. And also, it depends who's trading for him. It depends who's trading for him. If you're getting a top 10 or a bottom 10 team trading for OBJ, I mean, you're looking at a high pick in the second round. Someone's gonna fall to you. Someone's gonna fall in your lap. That's gonna be a difference maker.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're saying, you need an off-ball linebacker. Like you mentioned Jabril Cox before. Like that's a guy who's going to be sitting there 2 or 3. So if you have that extra
Cox as well,
capital, you could sit there and say, okay, like Jabril Cox for me is a plug-and-play starter. Will he ever be a superstar? No. But can he go in there day one for me and be my starter? Absolutely. I really do believe that. In fact, I think he'll be just as good of a day one player as Chaz Surratt, maybe better. I think by the time, halfway through year 2, 24 games into these guys' careers, Chaz will be the better player at that point.
I think Surratt's better. He's just better all around with his movements. I think he's a little bit more better laterally, vertically than Cox. But both guys are great options for sure.
All right. So so now we sit here, we go edge. So I feel like we got edge, corner, receiver, linebacker. I feel like that's really in like maybe the secondary. So like, I feel like the Browns I'd put the Browns in this situation where it's, okay, you are a best player available team. Like what we said the Steelers should be, but they're not because of their corners, is exactly what the Browns are. You take the best player on the board and then you really go, and that's what takes you to your title.
I totally agree with that. I think they have a great roster. I think that they can win a Super Bowl next year. I really think they do. I think they have the cap space, make moves in free agency. They have good draft capital. I think they're going to draft well. I think they're going to trade OBJ, and we saw him succeed very well without OBJ. They hardly had OBJ this season, and when he's on the field, he didn't do much. I think trading OBJ, you're just going to see the team go up because you're going to bring in another player, some more picks. So, I think trading OBJ, you get more picks. You kind of fix up that defense. You're looking at like a top 10 defense in the NFL. You're looking at a great offense, a great run game, a solid QB. This team can be scary in 2021. And the more I sit here and talk about them, the more I just get hyped about the Browns next season. Kind of have them as an underdog for the Super Bowl. This year, my underdog for the Super Bowl was the Bills. They kind of shot up in 2020. I think the Browns are that team.
I think you got the amazing head coach. I forget who their defensive coordinator is, but I do know that I like him.
Greg Williams?
No, he used to be there. He was, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the guy does a good job. But Stefanski's a hell of a coach. And also, we always talk about this. Oh, well, you got to win in your quarterback's rookie year, your rookie contract. Well, Baker's in year 4. You know he can get you to the playoffs at this point.
Joe Woods.
Thank you. Good at his job. But also, Alex Van Pelt is the QB coach there, or OC. Don't be surprised if he gets a head coaching job there after next year. But now we go to the Baltimore Ravens. And honestly, I mean, I think the top 2 needs on this team are pretty obvious. For me, it's a guy to replace Matthew Judon, Yannick Ngakoue, because he's hitting the market. Calais Campbell a year from now, or a wide receiver. Which one?
They have Wolf, Ngakoue, and Campbell all hitting free agency. Like this front 7 is having a lot of guys hit free agency, and they're not going to be able to bring them all back. So I think, you got to shore up at edge there. And I also have cornerback and receiver as also some great needs. I think I've loved seeing some of the possible picks for them in the first round at corner. I think you just gotta why not make that secondary even better? Because who are you competing with? The Bills, the Chiefs for Super Bowl, possibly even the Browns. So you're gonna want a secondary that can stop those offenses. And they have a great secondary. I think you just add even more talent.
So honestly, I wouldn't be against that because Marlon Humphrey could be the greatest nickel corner to ever play the game.
Yes.
Like the guy is an elite tackler. He can get into the backfield, and he just so happens that he's one of the best cover corners in football as well.
And can rip the ball out of anybody's hands.
He literally, exactly. He can get into the backfield and rip that ball out of your running back's hands. So I actually don't hate that idea, but I feel like I'd rather hit that round 2, round 3 because
there's depth there for sure. Sure.
I need to give Lamar a 1, man, at this point. Like I sit there and I say, I need to give Lamar a 1.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and like, again, I've mentioned this name 8,000 times, right? We could say, okay, do you get a tight end to go? We could say, okay, right. We want the tight end to, replicate what they had with Hayden Hurst. That's the name, right? Hayden Hurst is the name that should be coming to my mind. Yeah.
Hayden from South Carolina.
Yep, exactly. They traded him to the Falcons. But I mean, a Brevin Jordan playmaker type, I wouldn't hate it just because Hayden Hurst athlete. But again, I think that's around
Pat Fryermuth, however you say that last name.
I got Jordan ranked ahead of him. Even I think you could get a Hunter Long round 3, 4. He could come in, he could compete. And Trey has a nice upside. So, but
Quinton Morris is a guy.
The Bowling Green guy.
Yeah, he's a sleeper. I mean, you could probably get him like the 5th, 6th round. That's a guy who you kind of plug and play, and you could see him kind of be a stud there at the next level as well.
Especially in a system where he can develop. But I sit here and I go, okay, I want to spread these defenses out. I want to make them actually account. I want people devoting resources to my receivers so they can't just sit there and spy Lamar Jackson. I want them to actually have to account for somebody. So I sit there and I go, okay, we're at 27. Hell, we saw the Ravens trade up for Lamar. I can't think if they've traded up in any drafts really since off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be against trading up for, again, a Rashad Bateman. And I don't know if he could play on the outside, but a Kadarius Toney, a guy who could really, actually, I got Elijah Moore ranked ahead of him, but so Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, Nico Collins, a guy who is going to be on the boundary.
Yeah.
Sure. But they need to give Baltimore.
Yeah, if you have Brown on the inside, Nico Collins on the outside, I think that's a good little duo there as well. Yeah. But trading up for Toney or Bateman, I think that's kind of the dream scenario here. I mean, Lamar is great. They have a great run game.
I think you could get Toney at that spot. I know a lot.
Yeah, I think he'll fall. I don't think Bateman will. I also maybe heard the rumor Bateman ran a 4.39. Yeah. Now the XO Sports Combine isn't like Tellen Wallace ran in the 4.3s. It's not the greatest resource, but I mean, still, if he did run a 4.39 lasered,
Tellen Wallace does not have 4.3 speed. I'm sorry.
No,
it does not have.
This is not. Yeah, this place is not great, but if he's running in the 4.3s, I mean, Bateman is very good. And the biggest question about him was, he doesn't have that breakaway speed, but now he's running in the 4.3s as well. So yeah, Bateman, I don't think he'll be there at 26. They might have to trade up for him, but I would love Bateman and Lamar.
If he's going 4.3s, he's a guaranteed top 20 pick in my opinion.
Totally. He's not making it past the Colts.
Exactly. And here's my thing, right? I think we overestimate or overrate Marquise Brown's after the catchability. Like I really feel like he doesn't utilize it that much in the end.
Yeah. And you can't really have a great after the catch ability when you're not really catching the ball. I mean, like, it's like he hands and he hardly gets separation to kind of be able to catch the ball and then be in space, make a move. So I'm personally not a huge Marquise Brown fan. But if you want to hear my kind of 3rd, 4th round sleeper for the Ravens, I've been hyping up, Dwayne Eskridge. Man, Dwayne Eskridge.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. We're looking at maybe like a Tyreek Hill kind of player. He has game-changing speed. Yeah. He has game-changing speed. I think getting a slot receiver for Lamar, I just saw a recent stat, but Lamar has like, I think 29 pass touchdowns to the slot since 2019 or something, which leads NFL. So he likes to throw to the slot. You get him a slot receiver, maybe Elijah Moore in the 1st, but you kind of wait till like the 3rd, 4th round. You pick up Eskridge, you plug and play him for maybe like the first couple of weeks, and he's just going to shine. I'm going to tell you, he's going to shine. And by week 16, you're looking at a starter in the NFL, maybe even a top 25 receiver. I'm super high on this guy. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. And to be honest, I didn't really know much of him coming in. I didn't know much of him. And then I watched like 3 of his one-on-ones, and I'm like, holy crap! I wrote his name down immediately. I've watched his film since, and yeah, he does not disappoint.
He's 5'9", but he's an underestimated downfield receiver.
Yeah, and
Really
I
stretch.
think
He's
I think size on receiver is a little bit, I don't know, maybe over talked about as a weakness. If you're small, I think guys can make it happen. If you're strong enough and can take the big hits, you're not going to be a jump ball guy, but that's why we're going to put you in the slot. You can get separation on linebackers, nickel corners, put you on a streak down the field. Yeah, I think he's going to be a beast.
There's another round 3 fit I really like for them. And again, I feel like Marquise could thrive out of the slot at the next level, and you could really get Amon-Ra St. Brown to play slot or outside. He can stretch your defense down the field. He's got that little bit of pizzazz after the catch, where I really think no matter what you do with him, he'll be a really nice fit in the Ravens offense, where Lamar
He's got good catch ability too. He has some good contested catches.
He's under. I'm not his biggest fan. Like, I know Daniel Almeida here. I think he's got like an early round 2 grade on him. I think there's a little bit more work to be done as a route running. I would like to see a little bit more from him after the catch, but
Terrence Marshall maybe from LSU.
Ooh, if he's there at 27, I would like that, because here's my thing about Terrence Marshall, right?
You take him at 27 though?
Yes. Yes. If he is the best receiver on the board. Now, it's where I grade him next to the next best prospect there for me, right? Because if I'm looking there and I'm saying, okay, if I'm going, okay, Gregory Rousseau, to be honest, I don't want Gregory Rousseau in the Ravens, because I want him in a fit where I really feel like he can develop. But if I'm looking at it, because I'm not sure he's a day one guy, but I think Jalen Phillips is day one. Can he stay healthy, if that makes sense?
Yes.
I think Rousseau could be the best of them. But I also even think, a guy like a Christian Barmore, do they have a need for defensive tackle? No, but do I think that guy could wreck a game and really be a difference?
Yes, totally. I mean, his ability from the defensive tackle position to pass rush, to rush the QB, it's honestly unmatched in this class. I mean, he is the best pass rusher at defensive tackle, and I think that could really help, especially going up against the division. You're going up against, in my opinion, maybe the best O-line behind the Colts, the Browns. I mean, the Browns have a fantastic offensive line. So you're definitely going to want to improve that front seven, because you're playing them twice a year. Bringing him would be nice. Also, I'm not super high on him, but Carlos Basham, maybe in the second, third round, I think he'll be there. I would like that pick personally, because I think that with so many edge rushers hitting free agency, you got to draft a couple edge players. Quincy Rochet, yeah.
I also think they need to, I guess, like, since Marshall Yonder retired, I feel like you need to get a guard there.
Maybe. Yeah. Deontay Brown.
Who'd you say?
Deontay Brown, Alabama.
I don't think he had the greatest Senior Bowl, but I wouldn't hate him round 3. But
He didn't, but that's not how he plays. He's a guy that will just kind of be an absolute force in the run game, but one-on-ones isn't his thing, and you're not going to get many of those looks from guard. So he didn't look great in one-on-ones in the Senior Bowl, but I also don't think that guards will have that scenario that often. I think you just pound him in the run game. You have Lamar QB draw right behind Deontay Brown. He's huge. You can coach him up. Yeah.
I mean, the Ravens like to have their offensive linemen pull a lot just because of their scheme and the lot of the zone running stuff they do. Do you think he could do that at the next level?
I mean, that is one problem. I didn't really think about that at first. I just think about huge guy. Lamar runs behind him. His movement skills, they're not there. And they're probably not going to be at 300 plus pounds. So yeah, I don't love that, but I don't know. I think you could take a chance on him. William Bradley King, if you know of him from East Carolina, he looks solid in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl.
Oh wait, never mind. I did not think he was a Senior Bowl guy.
Yeah, he was a Senior Bowl. He was the East Carolina guy for Senior Bowl. So he's going to be there later in the draft, like 5th, 6th round. That's a guy who could kind of be a plug and play guy, but he could be a raw prospect that could turn into a good player at the next level as well. So, there's a couple options there to get 2nd, 3rd round for sure.
I mean, I think this is a Creed Humphrey fit, a potential Creed Humphrey fit.
Yeah. He was very talked about a year ago, and he kind of fell off a bit, but I think he'd be a beast as well. Kendrick Green, if you know of him from Illinois.
Yes.
He's a fun to watch player. Turn on his film. He's gonna fall a bit just because he's not the most talked about guy, but he is a fun to watch player. He just bulldozes over guys. I would like him, and he can move as well. The thing that separates him from Deontay Brown is he can move, and he could kind of be in their scheme and pull. You have Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins kind of run behind them through holes. I would like Green.
don't be surprised if they take Wyatt Davis in the first round.
Ooh, Davis is a stud. When he got hurt in that championship game, kind of around later in the first half, I was mad because I just wanted to keep watching him play. And yeah, that was unfortunate he got hurt, but he's a stud. Yeah, he's a stud for sure. And I don't love him in the first, but now if they did take him, I wouldn't be just mad. I'd be like, okay, it's a reach, but he's gonna be a beast on that O-line. So yeah, he would be a great pick as well.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? Because we're talking about how good of a fit he is there, and sure, we might say, okay, he might not be the most talented player.
Yeah,
but for what the Ravens need, he might just actually be an appropriate value.
He's a top 35, top 40 player, but you put him in the Ravens scheme, just the Ravens scheme, top 20, top 25 player, maybe even. I mean, he just fits that perfectly with the way he can move and the way he can just kind of use his hands and create power. Yeah, I like that.
I 100% agree with you. And that's the thing for the Ravens have a unique scheme, a unique roster. But once again, we come to this point of, okay, we need to find ways to utilize Lamar Jackson to the best of his ability, whether that's through the receivers, that's through the offensive line, where he can really push to get to a Super Bowl. And would you rather would you rather focus offense draft, defense free agency, or defense draft, offense free agency?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would honestly want to maybe go defense draft, offense free agency. I think there's a lot of great defensive players in this draft that a lot of kind of just sleepers in my opinion that will fall, guys that you can plug and play. And then on offense, there are some solid options in free agency. Here's the thing about me. I'm not a huge fan of, fixing your team in free agency. I'm a huge fan of bringing veterans to free agency just to kind of fill up holes on your roster. I don't like guys in free agency just change your franchise. So I think right now the way that they could change your franchise if drafting big in defense in the draft, and then you bring in in my article, if you checked it out, one free agent for each team, I had Allen Robinson. So they could maybe bring in him and pair him with the Lamar on offense. There's a lot of great kind of lower guys that you can sign small contracts, but could really pay dividends on their offense. So I think, maybe going defense draft, offense free agency.
No, I like it. But that, I think, we'll do it here for our first episode. Sorry if it's a little long, but I think we had some really
it went a little long, but I think we had a great conversation. I mean, we really broke down these 4 teams, kind of took a deep dive on all of them. If you're any of these 4 teams, a fan of them, let us know what you think in the comments, if you would tack it any differently. But I think kind of hit all the points. It was fun.
No, I really enjoyed it. And guys, remember, subscribe to the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. We're putting out this content every week, and we have live shows almost every day of the week, something for you guys to tune into. We got plenty of unique content at all days, all times. Go to TWSN.net.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Cade both are right there, and you're going to be seeing a lot of draft content, a lot of just football, any sport content in general we have on.
Yeah. Over the next month and a half, follow the TWSN scouting page. We'll be releasing lots of draft content on there as well. Follow our personal pages if you'd like. Over the next month and a half, 2 months, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the draft. This is kind of my touche. And I know this is yours as well. And so, come back next week as we'll be bringing down another division. That's yet to be said, but
So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Thank you guys.